Good morning, Stage 1 Biology team. I'm here to talk through our start of Topic 4, and we'll start with 4.1 Biodiversity. Topic 4 is Biodiversity and Ecosystem Dynamics. I'll be working from page 310 of your textbook. Click. There we go. The first part of 4.1 is distinguishing between a species, population, community, and ecosystem. So an ecosystem is a community of interacting organisms and their physical environment. So the interacting organisms will be the living component of the ecosystem, and that's known as the biotic component. Whether it's plants, animals, or other organisms that are living, contain cells, they will be the biotic component of an ecosystem, and they're interacting with the physical environment, the non-living abiotic, water, soil, sunlight, temperature, things like that. Remember, there's interactions between them, and that's what makes it an ecosystem. So a community then is just the biotic factors within that ecosystem that are interacting together. So a community could be the frogs, the lizards, the bacteria, the trees, plants, all interacting together within one ecosystem. A population will then refer to a group of one species in that particular location at that particular time. The image here, if you have a look, where's my mouse, is a population of frogs all living together in the same location at the same time. A species is a group of organisms that are capable of reproducing fertile offspring. So they can reproduce together, and the offspring can also have further offspring and are also capable of reproduction. So I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about species here. As I said before, they can interbreed and produce fertile offspring. So what I mean by fertile is that the offspring can then reproduce itself when it reaches sexual maturity. Example, dogs. Are they the same species? They look quite different. Doberman's super different from a Chihuahua, but are they the same species? Sure thing. They can reproduce. Don't physically imagine it, it's a bit weird, but they can reproduce, and their offspring can then reproduce as well. The example on this page are these tree frogs here. They look quite different, but actually they cannot reproduce. Therefore, they would be considered different species. When we go into this in a little bit more detail, we'll look at the horse and the donkey, and they are different species. They can reproduce, but their offspring, a mule, cannot. It's infertile, therefore they're different species. A population is a group of living organisms of the same species living in the same area at the same time. Here's a population of penguins. Community, a group of interacting populations in the same ecosystem. So we've got this big old tree, we've got zebras, giraffe, lions, hyenas, lots of different animals interacting together in the same ecosystem. The grasses and that as well, all the living factors of that ecosystem. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I mean by interactions now. So within an ecosystem, there are food webs and food chains, and you may have studied a little bit of this before, and that looks at how the energy is transferred from one section to the next. You'll see it's a pyramid here because there is a lot more energy in the producers than there is in the consumers. If there were more biomass, we call it, if there were more biomass in the consumers than producers, then the ecosystem wouldn't work. There needs to be more producers. So the producers are autotrophs. They synthesize organic matter, glucose from inorganic materials, carbon dioxide, sunlight, water. They can make their own glucose. Consumers are heterotrophs, and that means they obtain their organic matter from consuming plants or other animals. So interactions within a community can be between the same species, one kangaroo interacting with another kangaroo, or can be between species, kangaroos and potoroos, for example. They can be grouped whether they have a positive or negative effect on one or both of the species. So positive is mutualism or commensalism, and negative is competition or predator-prey or parasitism. Mutualism occurs when both species benefit from the interaction. So I've got an example here of termites, and termites eat wood. They actually can't break down the cellulose in the wood fiber. So they have bacteria within the termites that can break down this wood fiber. The bacteria benefit from this interaction because they can then convert that fiber into ATP, so they're getting energy. And the termites obviously benefit because now that they can break down this fiber and they can get energy from their food source as well. Click. Commensalism is where one species or one organism, will benefit, but the other will not benefit, but they're not harmed. They're still okay. So my example here is with egrets, the birds, and cattle. So the egret preys on small insects, and they lurk around the cattle because the cattle will move and stir up insects in the grass, and this will then allow the egrets to pounce on them and get some food for energy. The cattle do not benefit from this at all, but they're not harmed either. They don't mind hanging out with the birds. Competition is going to be negative for one organism. That's two organisms of the same or different species competing for the same resources. So whether it's the same food source, maybe they're competing for water, for habitat, for shelter, something like that. Competition. Last is predator-prey or host-parasite, is when one is negatively impacted. So with a predator-prey, one's eaten. That's probably a little bit negative for them now that they've been consumed. Or the host parasite is when the host is negatively impacted by the parasite. So there's examples of ticks or bacteria, or any parasites or viruses that will impact an organism. So the learning task for this short section is question 83 on page 314. Keep an eye out for more of these videos. Hopefully that's been a helpful chat. Take some notes. I'll also upload the PowerPoint to Daymap so you can look at it at your own pace as well. Have a great day, and I'll chat to you soon.